The middle-length discourses of the Buddha. 43. The greater set of questions and answers. Mahavadala Sutta. Translated from the Pali by Thanissaro Bhikkhu. I have heard that on one occasion the Blessed One was staying at Savathai, in Jeta's grove, Anathapindika's monastery. Then Mahakotita, arising from his seclusion in the late afternoon, went to Ven. Sariputta and, on arrival, exchanged courteous greetings with him. After an exchange of friendly greetings and courtesies, he sat to one side. Discernment. As he was sitting there, he said to Ven. Sariputta, friend, one of poor discernment, thus is it said. To what extent is one said to be one of poor discernment? One doesn't discern, thus, friend, one is said to be one of poor discernment. And what doesn't one discern? One doesn't discern, this is stress. One doesn't discern, this is the origination of stress. One doesn't discern, this is the cessation of stress. One doesn't discern, this is the practice leading to the cessation of stress. One doesn't discern, thus one is said to be one of poor discernment. Saying, very good, friend, Ven. Mahakotita, delighting in and approving of Ven. Sariputta's statement, asked him a further question, discerning, thus is it said. To what extent, friend, is one said to be discerning? One discerns, thus, friend, one is said to be discerning. And what does one discern? One discerns, this is stress. One discerns, this is the origination of stress. One discerns, this is the cessation of stress. One discerns, this is the practice leading to the cessation of stress. One discerns, thus one is said to be discerning. Consciousness, thus is it said. To what extent, friend, is it said to be consciousness? It cognizes, thus, friend, it is said to be consciousness. And what does it cognize? It cognizes pleasant. It cognizes painful. It cognizes neither painful nor pleasant. It cognizes, thus it is said to be consciousness. Discernment and consciousness, friend, are these qualities conjoined or disjoined? Is it possible, having separated them one from the other, to delineate the difference between them? Discernment and consciousness are conjoined, friend, not disjoined. It's not possible, having separated them one from the other, to delineate the difference between them. For what one discerns, that one cognizes. What one cognizes, that one discerns. Therefore these qualities are conjoined, not disjoined, and it is not possible, having separated them one from another, to delineate the difference between them. Discernment and consciousness, friend, what is the difference between these qualities that are conjoined, not disjoined? Discernment and consciousness, friend, of these qualities that are conjoined, not disjoined, discernment is to be developed, consciousness is to be fully comprehended. Feeling, thus is it said. To what extent, friend, is it said to be feeling? It feels, thus, friend, it is said to be feeling. And what does it feel? It feels pleasure. It feels pain. It feels neither pleasure nor pain. It feels, thus it is said to be feeling. Perception, thus is it said. To what extent, friend, is it said to be perception? It perceives, thus, friend, it is said to be perception. And what does it perceive? It perceives blue. It perceives yellow. It perceives red. It perceives white. It perceives, thus it is said to be perception. Feeling, perception, and consciousness, Friend, are these qualities conjoined or disjoined? Is it possible, having separated them one from another, to delineate the difference among them? Feeling, perception, and consciousness are conjoined, friend, not disjoined. It is not possible, having separated them one from another, to delineate the difference among them. For what one feels, that one perceives. What one perceives, that one cognizes. Therefore these qualities are conjoined, not disjoined, and it is not possible, having separated them one from another, to delineate the difference among them. The eye of discernment. Friend, what can be known with the purified intellect consciousness divorced from the five sense faculties? Friend, with the purified intellect consciousness divorced from the five faculties, the dimension of the infinitude of space can be known as infinite space. The dimension of the infinitude of consciousness can be known as infinite consciousness. The dimension of nothingness can be known as there is nothing. With what does one know a quality that can be known? One knows a quality that can be known with the eye of discernment. And what is the purpose of discernment? The purpose of discernment is direct knowledge, its purpose is full comprehension, its purpose is abandoning. Right view. Friend, how many conditions are there for the arising of right view? Friend, there are two conditions for the arising of right view, the voice of another and appropriate attention. These are the two conditions for the arising of right view. And assisted by how many factors does right view have awareness release as its fruit and reward, and discernment release as its fruit and reward? Assisted by 5 factors, right view has awareness release as its fruit and reward, and discernment release as its fruit and reward. There is the case where right view is assisted by virtue, assisted by learning, assisted by discussion, assisted by tranquility, assisted by insight. Assisted by these 5 factors, right view has awareness release as its fruit and reward, and discernment release as its fruit and reward. Becoming. Friend, how many kinds of becoming are there? Friend, there are these 3 kinds of becoming: sensual becoming, form becoming, formless becoming. And how is further becoming in the future brought about? The delight, now here, now there, of beings hindered by ignorance and fettered by craving, that's how further becoming in the future is brought about. And how is further becoming in the future not brought about? Through the fading of ignorance, the arising of clear knowing, and the cessation of craving, that's how further becoming in the future is not brought about. The first jhana. What, friend, is the first jhana? There is the case, friend, where a monk, quite withdrawn from sensual pleasures, withdrawn from unskillful qualities, enters and remains in the first jhana, rapture and pleasure born from withdrawal, accompanied by directed thought and evaluation. This is called the first jhana. And how many factors does the first jhana have? The first jhana has 5 factors. There is the case where, in a monk who has attained the 5-factored first jhana, there occurs directed thought, evaluation, rapture, pleasure, and singleness of mind. It's in this way that the first jhana has 5 factors. And how many factors are abandoned in the first jhana, and with how many is it endowed? 5 factors are abandoned in the first jhana, and with 5 is it endowed. There is the case where, in a monk who has attained the first jhana, sensual desire is abandoned, ill will is abandoned, sloth and torpor is abandoned, restlessness and anxiety is abandoned, uncertainty is abandoned. And there occur directed thought, evaluation, rapture, pleasure, and singleness of mind. It's in this way that 5 factors are abandoned in the first jhana, and with 5 it is endowed. The 5 faculties. Friend, there are these 5 faculties each with a separate range, a separate domain, and they do not experience one another's range and domain: the eye faculty, the ear faculty, the nose faculty, the tongue faculty, and the body faculty. Now what do these 5 faculties, each with a separate range, a separate domain, not experiencing one another's range and domain, the eye faculty, the ear faculty, the nose faculty, the tongue faculty, and the body faculty, have as their common arbitrator? What experiences all their ranges and domains? Friend, these 5 faculties, each with a separate range, a separate domain, not experiencing one another's range and domain, the eye faculty, the ear faculty, the nose faculty, the tongue faculty, and the body faculty, have the intellect as their common arbitrator. The intellect is what experiences all their ranges and domains. Now, these 5 faculties, the eye faculty, the ear faculty, the nose faculty, the tongue faculty, and the body faculty, in dependence on what do they remain standing? These 5 faculties, the eye faculty, the ear faculty, the nose faculty, the tongue faculty, and the body faculty, remain standing in dependence on vitality. And vitality remains standing in dependence on what? Vitality remains standing in dependence on heat. And heat remains standing in dependence on what? Heat remains standing in dependence on vitality. Just now, friend Sariputta, we understood you to say, vitality remains standing in dependence on heat. And just now we understood you to say, heat remains standing in dependence on vitality. Now how is the meaning of these statements to be seen? In that case, friend, I will give you analogy, for there are cases where it is through an analogy that an intelligent person understands the meaning of a statement. Suppose an oil lamp is burning. Its radiance is discerned in dependence on its flame, and its flame is discerned in dependence on its radiance. In the same way, vitality remains standing in dependence on heat, and heat remains standing in dependence on vitality.